This conference will now be recorded.
Good evening and welcome to the May 21st, 2025 South Whitehall Commissioners meeting. Call this meeting to order. I would ask you all to please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I'd like to note for the record, all commissioners are present this evening except for Commissioner Johns. Agenda item 3, our announcements. All public sessions of the South Whitehall Township Board of Commissioners are electronically recorded, filed, and posted to the Township website for public access. At this time, I'll ask Township Manager Tom Petrucci to review our public virtual meeting rules.
Thank you. The public virtual meeting rules are as follows. Courtesy of the floor for non-agenda items will be at the beginning and end of the agenda. Public comment will be limited to 5 minutes per speaker. For all listed agenda items, the board president will call for courtesy of the floor prior to the Board of Commissioners taking action on that specific agenda item. For in-person attendees, please raise your hand to be recognized, then move to the podium when directed. You will be asked to state your name and address for the record and may then proceed with asking your question. For those participating virtually, please mute your microphone or telephone to avoid any background noise that may cause interference during the meeting. The chat box feature will be active throughout the meeting. If you have a comment or question, please type your full name and address into the chat box. The staff member monitoring GoToMeeting will then unmute your microphone and you will have the opportunity to comment or ask a question. Thank you.
Thank you, Tom. I'd also like to announce the Board of Commissioners met in executive session prior to tonight's meeting to discuss legal and personnel matters. Agenda item 4 is courtesy of the floor. This is opportunity for any member of the public to approach the board on any non-agenda items. Is there anyone present this evening? Yes, sir. If you please come up to the podium and state your name and address for the record.
Dave Torrey, 1351 Deerfield Drive. I brought this issue up before, and I bring it up again because I saw recently there was a proposal for a very large development in North Whitehall at the intersection of Cedar Crest and Watts Chunk. And I know it was, met with a lot of displeasure by the township people, but it was a large residential development as well as retail. And I brought the issue up before that the Lehigh Valley Planning Commission is urging communities to work together on items such as this. We have that one. The other one in North Whitehall is that warehouse basically in the vicinity of Warfield Road and 309. And I'm wondering if there's been any other further discussions with North Whitehall officials or even Whitehall, because any development in North Whitehall or Whitehall is going to filter down Cedar Crest or Watts Chunk and eventually into the township with traffic issues. And I would think that we would like to be involved with major developments. And I also know that the board had worked before with Lower Macungie on that development that was, I'll say, basically behind the old charcoal drive-in between that and the hospital area. I know you work with Lower Macungie. My question is, have you been working with North Whitehall, or do you intend to work with North Whitehall on some of their major projects? Thank you.
For your comment, Tom, if you'd like to address
Yeah,
we've been in contact.
We've actually been in contact with North Whitehall on a regular basis, and the applicant has to file a lot consolidation plan within the township, and they have done so. So that will even be a topic for a South Whitehall Planning Commission meeting and a Board of Commissioners meeting in the future as well. But yeah, we've communicated our concerns with the traffic and the need for the lot consolidation plan, and we've been in regular contact with North Whitehall officials on that project.
Yeah. The shame of it was when Unthy went in up there, the North Whitehall didn't require, there's emergency access lanes for emergency responders right down to the turnpike. That they couldn't put an easy pass entrance and exit right there. Could have avoided a lot of trucks coming up through up to 309. But okay, thank you.
Thank you very much. Is there anyone else present this evening who'd like to address the board? Is there anyone online with a public comment? Very good, thank you. Moving on to agenda item 5, presentations. The first presentation this evening is proclamation in recognition of Emergency Medical Services Week, which is May 18th to the 24th. And we have representatives with us this evening from Citronia Ambulance Medical Services, and we're grateful that you're here with us this evening. I do have a proclamation I'd like to read in honor of this week's. Whereas the South Whitehall Township Board of Commissioners designates week of May 18th to the 24th as Emergency Medical Services Week. Emergency medical services is a vital public service provided to South Whitehall by Citronia Ambulance Corps. Citronia Ambulance Corps provides the township with life-saving care to those in need 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. The access to quality emergency care dramatically improves the survival and recovery rate of those who experience sudden illness or injury. The members of emergency medical services teams, whether career or volunteer, engage in thousands of hours of specialized training and continuing education to enhance their life-saving skills. It is appropriate to recognize the value, accomplishments, and expertise of Citronia Ambulance Corps by the designation of Emergency Medical Services Week. Whereas the South Whitehall Township Board of Commissioners encourages all residents and businesses alike to join in this mission to show appreciation and gratitude to the men and women of Citronia Ambulance Corps who serve our great community. Be it resolved that the Board of Commissioners, in recognition of Citronia Ambulance Corps, says thank you, and we do proclaim this week Emergency Medical Services Week. Thank you for all you do to serve our community. We appreciate the partnership you have with us. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioners. For those that don't know me, my name is Bob Madoff. I'm the CEO of Citronia Ambulance Corps. I can't express enough how grateful we are to have such great partners with South Whitehall Township, the Public Works Department, each individual fire department, the manager, the board, everything that we get involved in. You are so supportive of and have helped us grow and provide a high level of care to our community. As we started 70 years ago in South Whitehall Township, and we celebrate that this year, and we really appreciate the longevity, the relationship, and all of your assistance. On behalf of almost 200 employees we now have, we thank you for your support and generosity. Thank you so much.
You're most welcome. Thank you very much. The second presentation this evening is for the proclamation for National Public Works Week, same week, May 18th to the 24th. We have a proclamation prepared, whereas the South Whitehall Township Board of Commissioners hereby designates this week as National Public Works Week. The Public Works Department provides many vital services to the community of South Whitehall Township. All these services could not be provided without the dedicated efforts of our entire Public Works Department. They maintain and protect our water sewer systems, including 19 water stations, 6 sewer meter stations, in addition to stormwater oversight of the MS4 permit of the township, ensuring the well-being of our community. Public Works Department is the caretaker of South Whitehall's many parks, trails, and open spaces, spanning over 225 acres of recreational space. They care for 110 miles of township roadways, whether it is salting, plowing, or roadway maintenance to include resurfacing, striping, pothole repair. They provide leaf collection to our residents, requiring all hands on deck to get this job done in order to maintain the beauty of our neighborhoods. They are the caretaker of the entire South Whitehall Township campus, ensuring everything is in excellent operating condition and well taken care of, from its fleet of vehicles to the major machinery, as well as the daily assistance provided to the residents and businesses of South Whitehall. Therefore, the board recognizes the South Whitehall Township Public Works Department, and we say a very gracious and heartfelt thank you for all that you do each and every day as we recognize National Public Works Week. Congratulations to our department. I know no one's here this evening, but please pass our appreciation. Yes. Could we get a photograph with the representative, Bob Madoff and Kim from Citronia, before they leave for the evening? Thank you. Very good. Moving on, we have our agenda item 6, meeting minutes from the May 7th, 2025 Board of Commissioners meeting. Does the board have any comments or questions? Need a motion to approve?
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries 4-0. We have no ordinances. Agenda item 8A, resolutions. We have a resolution of reappointing Joseph A. Zader II of King, Spry, Herman, and Freud and Fall LLC law firm as the Township Solicitor for the Township of South Whitehall. And Tom, if you'd please present.
Thank you. So Attorney Zader currently serves as the Township Solicitor. The entire Zader Law team has now become part of the King, Spry, Herman, Freund and Fall LLC law firm. So pursuant to a letter provided by Managing Partner Jessica Moyer of King Spry, confirmed that Attorney Zader and the King Spry law firm will honor the legal fee rate structure set forth in the resolution that was adopted by the board earlier this year on January 15th. So nothing essentially will change with the appointment of the solicitor. However, this resolution is necessary in order to confirm that there's a new law firm that was essentially basically put together as part of this merging.
Very good. Thank you, Tom. Attorney Zader, did you have any comment for the board or the public at this time?
I just want to say thank you to the board for the trust, the confidence you've placed in me. And I have every expectation that the extra support that I will have from the King Spry law firm will only make things better.
Very well. We wish you the best as this new venture. Well,
Thank you.
are there any comments from the board?
My only comment, I'm going to recuse myself from voting on this matter, but I would say, Joe, thank you for all that you've done as Township Solicitor over these many years and all that you will continue to do as Township Solicitor. You are greatly appreciated by this board, by the staff and the community. So thank you.
Any other comment? Is there any public comment on this agenda item? Hearing and seeing none, I need a motion to approve.
Make a motion.
I'll second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? And one recusal. Motion carries 3-0. Agenda item 8B, we have a resolution of the Board of Commissioners of South Whitehall Township authorizing the township manager to execute an agreement with UGI Utilities Incorporated, providing for a cost-sharing agreement in exchange for the township's completion of road restoration work. Tom, if you present.
Thank you. So if this agreement looks familiar, it's because you already approved it. However, we did discover a clerical error. So we want to make sure that it's corrected. Basically, you're approving the same agreement that you approved via resolution the last meeting, where the total cost share amount is $170,030 with UGI. And the scope of the work was set forth in the agreement and the exhibit of which roads will be taking place. So this is just a matter to fix the clerical issue.
Very good. Thank you, Tom. Any board comments or questions? Any public comment? Need a motion to approve?
Motion.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries 4-0. Agenda item 8C, we have a resolution of the Board of Commissioners of South Whitehall Township, Lehigh County, Pennsylvania, authorizing the execution of a professional services agreement with CDM Smith Incorporated to conduct a road safety audit on Hamilton Boulevard. And I'll ask Long Range Planner Chris Stroller to present.
Thank you. We released an RFP for the road safety audit in March. We received 7 proposals from qualified firms to conduct the road safety audit on Hamilton Boulevard. What we were looking for out of these proposals in our evaluation was the experience that these firms had with the road safety audit process and conducting this type of process on similar corridors. Experience in designing, developing solutions for these type of corridors as complex as Hamilton Boulevard. We also looked at their creativity and innovation, understanding this is a challenging corridor that has been looked at over the years, but we also want to make sure that was rooted in experience with the PennDOT district that we have, being that this is a PennDOT road, and the project schedule and cost. The township received a grant of $150,000 through the DCD local share account for this project. Most of the bidders came in right around that number. The township, through reviewing the qualifications, is recommending CDM Smith out of their Wayne, PA office for this contract. CDM Smith was the selected consultant working with PennDOT directly on the adjacent roadway, Cedar Crest Boulevard. They conducted a similar type of road safety audit on that in 2023. Their experience with PennDOT is excellent. The township's experience with them through that process was excellent as well. And we are requesting a resolution to authorize the township manager to execute a contract. We're still in development of that contract with the consultant, which will be awarded, if approved by the board tonight, through Penn bid tomorrow.
Very good. Thank you, Chris. Is there an expected timeline once this is approved?
Their anticipated timeline was by the end of this year, this calendar year. Getting up and running in June and conducting all the field views over the summer with results by the end of the year.
Very good. Thank you. Open up to the board if there are any additional comments or questions.
So what was their fee?
I'm sorry, their fee was $148,000 and change. So we're requesting that the contract has a do not exceed of $150,000, just in case at the end it goes $1 or $2 over that.
Any other comments? Or any public comment? I have a motion to approve.
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries 4-0.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chris. Under motions, agenda item 9A, we have a motion consideration of approval for Director of Legal Affairs to attend the Zoning Hearing Board appeal for Willows at Calvary Temple, 3436 Winchester Road, scheduled for June 5th, 2025. Tom, if you'd please present.
Thank you. So official action is requested from the board to authorize the Director of Legal Affairs, Jennifer Aldifer, to attend the hearing for the Zoning Hearing Board appeal that is scheduled for Thursday, June 5th, 7 p.m. for the Willows at Calvary Temple, which is at 3436 Winchester Road. The township may attend any zoning hearing board appeal as either an interested party or an objector. It is the recommendation of township management that the Director of Legal Affairs should attend the initial hearing and any subsequent hearings for this matter as an interested party. Under the Pennsylvania Municipalities Planning Code, municipalities have the right to attend and participate in zoning hearing board meetings. Specifically, Section 9083 of the MPC defines the parties to a zoning hearing board hearing as follows. So the parties to the hearing shall be the municipality, any person affected by the application who has made timely appearance of record before the board, and any other person, including civic or community organizations, permitted to appear by the board. So the provision explicitly includes the municipality as a party to the hearing, granting it the right to attend, present evidence, and cross-examine witnesses during zoning hearing board proceedings. Also, Section 913.3 of the MPC allows officers or agencies of the municipality to initiate appeals to the zoning hearing board after a decision is rendered, further affirming the municipality's standing in zoning matters. So the relief that's being sought currently is frontage and yard setbacks, buffer strip and screening requirements driveway and access lane variances, off-street parking and setbacks, and building height and facade modulation. And the materials were included in the packet tonight for reference. So the specific motion is requested to authorize Director of Legal Affairs, Jennifer Aldifer, to attend the zoning hearing board appeal hearing that is scheduled for Thursday, June 5th, 2025, 7 p.m. And recommended motion includes the language of the approval of her to attend the initial hearing, as well as any subsequent hearings as an interested party.
Thank you, Tom. Does the board have any comments or questions? Is there any public comment? Yes. Please give us your name and address for the record.
Don Cheesley, 1411 Hampton Road. There seems to be a lot of discussion online about this project. And I'm not against it, but do you have any, I've seen the sketch looking for 50,000 square feet and I can't really read it, but do you have any drawings of what it would look like? If I'm driving down Winchester like I do 100 times, what it's going to look like? I mean, is there anything that shows you the height of it? Like, is it, they're taking over the field and the parking, or I'm not sure.
Yeah, the plans are available at the township office if you want to take a look at them.
But is it just looking down on 50,000 feet, or are there actually, if I'm.
Oh, I'm sorry, yeah.
Or is it, can I see, driving down, can I see the townhouses or what the houses that we can, what's going to look like when it's done?
They have not provided elevations. It's really just a land development. So a top view, if you will.
That's all you have.
They don't have anything yet in terms of what type of building facades or any type of finishes.
But you wouldn't approve it without having that first, right? So people can see what it looks like driving down Winchester? Or would you approve it from 50,000 feet?
There's minor requirements to provide the look of the building. It really depends. A lot of land developments and township ordinances don't necessarily require specific colors or looks.
So can you do that or not? Can you ask them to give you I'm driving down Winchester, I look to the right, what do I see? What does the parking look like? What does the house look like? How far is it set back? Is it, I don't know, it just seems like it'd be common sense to, I mean, it's a big deal to put it there. Just want to know what it's going to look like versus 50,000 square feet.
I mean, the township can certainly ask, and it may come up at the zoning hearing board appeal. It certainly could, but I don't know that it can be a requirement for land development.
Because I know that online, they're getting a whole group of people to attend the zoning board. That's why I came tonight, to make sure you knew that they're going to come there to try to learn more about it. But you're the deciding group. See if there's any way we can prepare them for what it's going to be without them getting upset over it. That's not enough information.
Don, I'd recommend that since you have an interest in this, you go to the zoning.
I am.
And ask that very question.
Okay.
The township is limited to what is in the ordinance. And if the ordinance doesn't dictate colors and facade materials, you can't really require it, but they're asking for an awful lot of relief. And so I think the public's voice will probably be heard.
Okay. Yeah, I already put on my calendar to go there. I just know that you're normally the deciding group that tells the zoning board, and I didn't know how much you had over getting enough information. So when they go to the zoning board, that they're completely filled, and they know stuff, they're not asking for stuff that we could have asked for before.
And that's one of the reasons to send the Director of Legal Affairs to ensure if the township does have questions it wants to ask, that it has an agent of the municipality in order to do so.
And just to clarify, we don't direct the zoning hearing board. They are their own board. They're
But you give them
quasi-judicial.
guidance.
No, we don't
You
provide
don't?
any
No, we do
guidance.
not.
They're separate, totally separate from this board. We have no oversight of them.
But we are an interested party.
All other agencies within the township, for the most part, are advisory. The zoning hearing board stands on its own, makes its own decisions.
Okay.
They're not advisory.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other public comments on this agenda item? Are there any comments online? Very good. Hearing and seeing none. I need a motion to approve said motion.
So moved.
Motion is second. In favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries 4-0. Agenda item 9B, we have a motion to approve a budget transfer regarding the proposed door access system for Greenwald's Fire Company. Tom, if you'd please present.
Thank you. So the township did receive a letter from Greenwald's Fire Company requesting to transfer line items for a new building access system for the doors of the fire station. So the system they're currently using has reached the end of its useful life for software, and the keypads are obsolete. So they're looking to replace all the keypads and use a cloud-based application. So they will be reusing the door strikes and the wiring, and it will include new fobs that will be issued to members and Zetronia Ambulance Corps. So they received 2 bids, one from TWG Security for $19,805.19, and the second from Eastern Time for $13,330. So they are looking to proceed with Eastern Time, which would be the lowest quoted vendor. And they used them for their CCTV system a few months ago and were pleased with their work. So the funds transfers would be identified as follows. So for the incentive program would be moved to $7,000. Electric would be $1,500. Heating oil would be $1,500. Contracted services would be $1,000. Continuous education would be $1,000. And vehicle maintenance would be $1,330. So all those collective transfers would help them get to the number they need to get to for Eastern Time. So Treasurer Todd Farringer is in attendance this evening if anyone has any questions.
Thank you, Tom. And just a question, since oversight of the budget, is there any concerns as far as the administration with this transfer being made by the board?
Not at this point. However, as we get towards the end of the fiscal year, we would have to monitor, make sure there's no issues with especially the incentive program line item.
Very good. Thank you. The board have any comments or questions on this agenda?
I just, Todd, if you'd come up, I think maybe you could address the budget issues because that is a concern of ours.
Yeah, so the line items I elaborated here on, those are the ones we usually have carryover at the end of the year for the last 2 years. So that's why I chose those specific line items to transfer out of. I don't see any problem on our end as far as moving that money around that we should fall short on any one of those line items. That's why we chose those.
Very good.
Thank you for explaining that because I was concerned, especially with vehicle maintenance. Suppose something happens and you need it, what happens?
Yeah, so the 2 largest line items that we have at Greenwald Walls is the fire incentive and then vehicle maintenance thereafter. We have those slightly heavy for any large encumbrances that would come up throughout the year. Knock on wood, we haven't had to dig into those too far the last 2 years with the budget structure that we've been using. So that's why I think we'll be okay moving forward the way we are.
Thank you.
I would also caution that if we get a hurricane or some of those storms where they get numerous calls in a very short period of time, that may affect the incentives. But there'll be a reason I would think that would have to be adjusted at some point towards the end of the budget year.
Correct.
Or something like that. But if it's just a normal year, I would think that would still be.
Correct. Yeah, we average about 15,000 a quarter for incentive for our department. I budget 75, so we're over 15,000 extra into that line item as is. So we should be fairly good. Even last summer when we had those 42 calls in one night, we were still well within the budget this past year.
And is this an instance where the system has begun to fail?
So the system is probably 10 or 15 years old. The hardware is still functional, but the software has come to end of service life. We can no longer access the software. So like we can no longer add or remove members or correct the key fob or something like that. So that's the issue we're having now. No one supports this system anymore because the company has gone by the wayside. So the system we're going to is a much more current and robust system than actually what we already have. It'll be easier to use and access.
Thank you, Todd.
Mhm.
Any other comments from the board? Any public comment? Anyone online? Hearing and seeing none, do I have a motion to approve?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
Abstain.
Motion carries 3-0 with 1 abstention. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Agenda item 10, correspondence and information, boards and commissions. Tom, if you'd please present.
Thank you. So as indicated earlier this evening, May 18th to the 24th is Emergency Medical Services Week. May 18th to the 24th is also National Public Works Week. On Monday, May 26th, Memorial Day holiday, the offices are closed. Wednesday, May 28th, 7 p.m. is a zoning hearing board meeting. Monday, June 2nd, 7 p.m., Public Safety Commission. Wednesday, June 4th, 7 p.m. is the Board of Commissioners. And also, as mentioned this evening, Wednesday, June 5th, zoning hearing board. Thursday, June 5th, I'm sorry.
Very good. Thank you. Agenda item 11A, under direction and discussion, we have the Planning Commission comments regarding the Kleins Island Act 537 Regional Plan. And Tom, if you'd please present.
Thank you. So in accordance with Pennsylvania Act 537 Sewage Facilities Act planning regulations, the South Whitehall Township Planning Commission has 60 days from Wednesday, April 16th of this year to provide written comments concerning the draft Kleins Island Sewer Regional Act 537 plan for the review of the township. So that review period commences on April 16th and must be provided on or before June 15th. So the Kleins Island Sewer Regional Act 537 plan has been sent to the Planning Commission. At this point, it's not for public comment. That comes later in the process. It's only for the review of the Planning Commission. So during the May 15th Planning Commission, myself and Herb Bender reviewed the Act 537 plan with the Planning Commission members. They had several questions that were more for clarification purposes, and really didn't. There was no action taken to submit written comments, and it didn't seem that they were, they had any major comments regarding the plan either way. However, so the intent was to go back to the June 12th Planning Commission meeting and then have them take official action on the plan. If the board has any questions on the plan itself, you do have the content before you. As noted in the memorandum, the focus is really on inflow and infiltration reduction across the entire region. So South Whitehall's contribution to that is just over $5 million, actually just under $6 million, I'm sorry, through 2035. And we built that into our long-range planning for capital budget planning and forecasting. So in addition to that, there's also the need to engage in intermunicipal agreement negotiations between the other entities that are subject to Kleins Island. There's also going to be a regional sewage billing meter program, which will include access to real-time read-only flow monitoring data. And the intention there is to really ensure that the sewage that's flowing through the meters is accurately assessed, primarily for billing purposes, as well as to ascertain the effectiveness of the I&I work. So it's important to note that the reason that this plan is necessary is due to the Chapter 94 violations that were issued as part of Kleins Island due to the significant rainfall that occurred in the 2018 to early 2019 time period. So that was all from the overall system, but primarily for the Kleins Island permit itself. But if there's any questions, I could certainly provide that information to the board.
Thank you, Tom. I do want to commend you and staff for your proactive work with the rate study for sewer and building in advance for the costs that are associated with this in the future. So I appreciate that outlook for the budget. Very helpful. Are there any comments from the board overall on this 537 plan?
I do want to clarify that it does have to go through all the 14 municipal planning commissions. It also has to go through the Lehigh Valley Planning Commission. It then goes out for public comment for a period of 30 days after that concludes. And then it goes back to the board. So you'll have to adopt a resolution to approve it. Then it goes to DEP for up to 6 months. And this will definitely take the 6 months, the full 6 months. So there's a long road ahead, and there's a lot of entities involved. And if it is successfully adopted, even at that point, it's all contingent upon the collaboration between the municipal entities to have the success of it, so that the Chapter 94 violation can be lifted. So it's not one thing that any municipal entity can do on its own. They have to work collectively together to have a successful outcome.
So if one or more of the other municipalities is not in, if they are not in favor of this particular plan, what does that do to this?
It doesn't go through them,
And we start all over again.
potentially.
Do we have a sense of when we expect it to go to the planning commissions of the various municipalities?
They've all received it, so all
So at the
comments
same time.
will have to be issued by that June 15th deadline.
Very good. Thank you.
I mean, let me clarify my statement, though. I mean, there's alternatives there. I mean, so if one or two aren't in, that's just not a good outcome after several years of planning for this. But you know, there might be alternatives. So we just hope that doesn't have to be one considered.
Thank you. There are no other board comments. Is there any public comment? Anyone online? Good. Thank you, Tom. And item 11B, we have the preliminary results of the open space referendum vote study. And I'll ask long range planner Chris Stroller to please present.
Thank you. You have a more extensive summary in your packet here, the memo, but to kind of give you the highlight, we've been talking about funding for open space since the completion of the South Whitehall Landscapes Plan. Towards the end of last year, beginning of this year, we worked with the Trust for Public Land on the Conservation Finance Feasibility Study, which outlined several municipal financing options for purchasing open space for permanent protection. Two of the options that were recommended out of that to work sort of collectively together were the idea of a municipal bond if the township found itself having an option to move on a high priority parcel that is very expensive, that we could look at issuing a bond to purchase the property or the property rights. And the secondary option in complement to that would be the potential increase of the earned income tax rate that is authorized by Pennsylvania Act 153 of 1996 and has been subsequently amended since then. That EIT rate allows the township to set aside a fund directly for open space preservation. It also allows for the maintenance of open space and the development of open space for appropriate purposes. It also allows for the repayment of the debt that could have been incurred, say, for the bond. So if you were to look at issuing the bond and then there's debt behind that, you could utilize some of the funding from the EIT increase to pay back the money from that bond. These two options together would work very well in South Whitehall Township. The bond, the township always has the option to do that. The EIT can only be increased if approved by a voter referendum. And that has very specific language in what that voter referendum looks like. So in April of this year, we released a targeted survey to gauge some of the feedback on some of the specific language that would need to be in that voter referendum, and including some of the getting a feeling for what rate would be palatable to the community. We've received the preliminary results from that survey. It's still technically open now, but timing is against us as far as waiting an extensive amount of time to get more results. I'll say the results or the response rate is relatively low for that survey, but it's not uncommon with this type of survey distribution. We send out postcards, so it was an optional survey for people to respond to. Typically, if it's an option, it's usually someone who is very interested in the topic, either for or against. So while the response rate is low, we definitely received valuable information from that survey on the goal of getting the specific information that we would need to put into the referendum, including some of the interest of what people would consider a priority for open space preservation and the funding amount or the increase amount. So some of the highlights, out of the respondents, over 95% considered the loss of open space to have an effect on the quality of life in the township. Over 90% of the respondents resonate with the need to protect clean air, clean water, environmentally sensitive areas. 75% of the audience recognize the correlation between protecting open space and maintaining existing property values. And 75% of the respondents indicated that they would support a 0.1 or a 10% increase in the EIT rate. That is kind of the target rate that I think we were looking at initially in some of the feasibility study. And that would be, I think, a comparable amount for us to consider both those options 1 and 2. If we were to pursue a bond, the 0.1% increase in the EIT would generate enough revenue to pay back the potential bond each year. So this information is important for us to consider we would need to develop an ordinance that allows the township to put a referendum question on for the November ballot. That language has to be very specific. So we could potentially use this information to prepare that ballot language in that ordinance. In your packet, I have the timeline, which is very important for us to consider if the board wishes to pursue something like this. If the referendum question is to be on the ballot on November 4th of this year, we would need to have we would have to file that with the Lehigh County Election Office by August of this year. So you can see in the table there, that means introducing an ordinance potentially in June, advertising that ordinance, and passing that ordinance in July so that the ballot question can be sent to the county election office in August. Throughout this process, we would conduct outreach and education about what this could mean, what this program could mean, any impacts to that, certainly host meetings and so forth. We met with the Environmental Advisory Council on Monday at our scheduled meeting. The EAC is in full support of pursuing this and is more than willing to assist in any of the education and outreach and kind of garnering the community interest on that. So I present this for any questions the board may have on timing, what some of the next steps are, and to get a sense of this is a pretty quick turnaround. So I'd like to get a feel so we can prepare for, we'll definitely bring something together in June for your consideration as to more of an official motion.
Very good. Thank you, Chris. Great deal of information you've provided. I'm very grateful to hear that the Environmental Advisory Council has reviewed this and is in support of it. Something that I was looking forward to hearing their feedback on that. And I think the information that we've garnered so far, being very positive to move forward with this, is very encouraging. So thank you. I'll open up to the board for comments.
Yeah, I would add, I look forward to seeing a draft ordinance. I'm glad you've gotten the EAC's input. I've said it for a long time, I think this is a question best left for the voters. And I think we're not only have, obviously you guys put a lot of work into this, but so many other municipalities, I believe Heidelberg last time around, Whitehall, Lower Macungie 4 years ago did something similar. So we know how that went. We know the tools they've used. It'll be, I think, relatively simple for the township to conduct similar outreach and ultimately let the public make this decision. And I would say, I know you had in your memo here about whether or not we wanted to leave the survey open. Even though I personally, I think I'm ready to move forward on this and get a draft ordinance before the board so we can get it in on the timeline. I think leaving the survey open and continuing to promote it is a good idea. At the very least, it may lead to a few ideas or viewpoints that we hadn't considered for the public engagement and outreach component of this, right? If there are some positive responses and explanations, well, then that may allow the township to think of more reasons, or viewpoints, by which to look at this. If there's additional detractors in the survey results, right, allow the township to see what are the concerns, what might folks be unclear about with respect to this. So I'm perfectly fine with both moving forward and also leaving the survey open and continuing to use the tool throughout our summer events, right, park and things like that. So great work, and looking forward to hopefully seeing this move forward.
Thank you. Just a comment on the survey. I think our target to get the results and to analyze the results with the Muhlenberg College, which they're preparing a more formalized report, which we will include at the next meeting with the ordinance that gives you more of those kind of top line summaries of what people are saying. But I think we wanted to make sure that we had it open and had those results by this time frame to move forward on the ordinance. But it's a simple QR code. There is an open-ended question at the end for comments and suggestions and things like that. So I don't think there's any issue with us leaving it open for a period of time and also promoting it more.
Yeah, and if Muhlenberg is going to give us a more detailed sort of overview of the results, I think that would be helpful, not only for the township, but if there are any groups or individuals in the community that want to either support this or don't support this, sort of to help them in their messaging and promotion of it. I think it would be helpful to see as well.
Yeah, I do have a quick comment. I agree with leaving it open. It's always good to leave it open and continue to gather public feedback. I also am very grateful to the EAC for their support and their willingness to provide that public outreach. So please thank them on the board's behalf. Yeah, and it's, like you said, Commissioner Roth, it's in the hands of the voters, and we should stick with the timeline and move forward with it.
Excellent.
Yeah, I agree with all, the voters decide. It's going to, it's their tax money. And getting the EAC's input is great. It's a very aggressive timeline, and it's glad to see it's moving forward it'll get done on time.
Soon.
I don't have any other comments. I appreciate the input of the board. The only question I had is has there been any consideration by staff to remind voters about the survey, whether it's their Facebook post for the Park and Rec Department or anything else in the next couple of weeks to try to get last minute input?
For the survey specifically, we initially didn't. This was a targeted survey to voters. So initially we wanted to make sure that just to make sure there wasn't any alternate interest. For example, if it was a public survey, that could invite bots and anyone else to kind of just go in and look at the QR code and answer it 100 times. So the reason we didn't release it initially publicly is so that we could get these verified results. But we can certainly promote it now, understanding that it's moving forward. We really need the information from this in order to craft that ordinance. So as we're moving forward with the ordinance, we feel confident with the results from this, but I think the additional feedback is helpful just in our messaging around it. And we can certainly do more as far as promotion on our end. And I think the EAC is encouraged to think of their kind of outreach and working with community members on how much they can promote it as well.
That's fantastic. Thank you. Is there any public comment on this agenda item? Thank you. We have no old business. Agenda item 13 is courtesy of the floor. Again, opportunity for any member of the public to address the board on agenda items. Or anyone online with a comment? I need a motion to authorize payment of invoices and disbursements.
So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. We have no exec session to schedule. I need a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. This meeting is adjourned.